All right, want to say welcome to Kabaka Pyramid.
I'm a
I
blessed
never
love.
knew TV Fire was going on.
There I give thanks.
All right, serious thing. And we are going to get right into it. I want to talk about the song Well Done from the Contraband album released in 2018. It really captures what politicians are doing to their countries worldwide. The question I have is though, do you believe people need for a savior leads them to believe politicians will help solve the same problems that they have created?
Yeah, I feel like the savior complex is a part of the thing. Um, I do believe that, we've gone through different eras in human evolution, you know what I mean? And we've gone through different stages. And I still believe, like, as a human race, we're developing. Like, we're not at the point where human beings can fully self govern. And I think that is why, because we're coming from eras where, divine beings would have guided us when we were really in an infant stage. And then you have a point where those beings would speak through kings, and then you have monarchies and divine monarchies and all of these kind of things. And then it changed to politics, where you have democracy and people a little more evolved now. So we can be a part of the process now, and we can vote and we can do things like that. But we still kind of need guidelines because you can see it with society. So I think that's where the whole government thing come from. But there comes a point where you're depending on them and you're not holding them accountable, and they use the position to be corrupt and to abuse that power and thing, and that's where the population now have to observe that and have to be aware of that. And we haven't seen that only in certain places where people really hold them leaders accountable. You know what I mean? So I really that are the situation now, and that song really released in 2015, but when I put it on the album. But yeah, it just speaking to the reality in Jamaica. But I think all around the world we can relate to it. We talk about the backside, we talk about the resources. But we just I read where they say I think from the late 1800s to the maybe about 1920s, 30s, Jamaica was the leading exporter of banana in the entire world. And,
Used to call it gold or something. They didn't call it green gold. What did they call it? Something gold, right?
something, yeah, something like that. And you look at the situation now where we're there. We all import banana and all of them kind of thing and other crops and things. So we see where globalization have a detrimental effect on developing nations and smaller nations, colonized nations who have these stipulations and policies where tell you say you have to buy from here, who is mass producing things and can sell it cheaper. And the thing them have less nutrients in it, and then the population suffer from that. So it's a cycle.
And I want to ask too on a side note. Obviously, for what you do, you have to interact with certain people of society.
Yeah.
What do the politicians say, Fire, when they meet you with certain songs that you sing?
Yeah. So when we see the politician them now, especially when Well Done did Hatter Road and thing, them always act like it's the next side me I talk about.
I agree what you're saying.
You know what I mean? So them always act like if it's a JLP person me I talk to them, say, oh, you sing Well Done for the PMP. I'm like, no, I'm singing it for the whole of you. So I really that still because the two-sided thing when you don't have good choices, and you don't have really sincere choices on either side, what's the point? So I really that now. Them just use it to divide and rule, and you see the political warfare over the years in Jamaica. Forget votes, and them introduce the guns and violence in the community, them for force people to vote in a one way or the other. And that's the legacy where we're coming out of now. It's maybe not as rampant as before, but it's still, we're seeing the byproducts of it now.
And I wanted to ask, since you spend time outside of Jamaica, right? Do you find yourself observing what's going there from a clearer perspective than when you actually spending a lot of time in Jamaica?
For me, travel is the best way for open your mind in general. Is a highway to a wider spectrum of life. You travel, you get to see things, and you start to compare it with your reality. And yeah, it's the best way for open your mind. When you're stuck in a one place, you're literally within one reality. There's multiple other things happening in the world and other ways of approaching governance and policies and architecture and food. And you have enough Jamaican when them travel, them only eat Jamaican food or Chinese food or just anything where them used to from yard. You have to try some different thing. You know, them put different seasoning on the food and use different spices. Ask why the food tastes on them thing, and you know, people just move like say you got sick. You know, but I just the mentality when you're stuck one place. But obviously, not everybody get the opportunity for travel.
But even with the traveling, like, how do you have an open approach? Because
Yeah,
I know a lot of people who do travel in my personal family fight, and they're not deviating from what they deal with. You get what I'm saying?
exactly.
Like, I've been to
Yeah,
other countries and they only eat American food.
yeah.
So what is it about you that's open to experiencing stuff?
I think reading and thing open your mind too. You know, a lot of people just maybe them never have that experience growing up of just being introduced to other cultures through whatever means where them get educated through. You know, I was fortunate to have certain things like, you know, when me a little youth, we have satellite dish. So me I watch things from foreign and all over the world as a little youth. While most of Jamaica had like one or two TV stations. So whatever them a show at that you know. You understand? So, you know, we're in a different point now where the opposite is almost like we're too influenced by what's happening in the world, so we kind of lose the culture, you know. But yeah, I feel like it's just what you open your awareness to, and reading is one of the main ways. You find people who read a lot, they're more open-minded when them travel.
Seems like the youth of Kenya are close to cracking the code, right? We recently interviewed Dr. Umar, and he broke down how religious, or what he believes is religious narcissism, is one of the main reasons black people cannot be united. Meaning that basically, if you're not a member of my religious sect, I'm not doing anything with you, right?
Yeah.
But in Kenya, what I noticed is that the youth are working together for change regardless of their linguistic, religious, or cultural differences. What are your thoughts about what's going on in Kenya right now?
Yeah. Well, I've been very inspired by what's happening in Kenya. You know, the youths, you know, especially the university youth, them are really there. So where I get to understand the uprising started from. You know, them inspired the whole nation to reject this finance bill, this excessive taxation. And we know that excessive taxation never helped nobody, you know, except the politicians. You know, so if you want a nation to expand and you want business and economic development, taxation is one of the worst ways you can do it by, you know. So the youth them rise up and it's very inspiring. You know, with a love to see them things that happening in a Jamaica all around the world. I even made a post about it on my social media, speaking towards that. And the way of the youth, they must organize too. Because I follow one and two people from Kenya and I see them use social media for spread
That'd
awareness.
be
And
very tactical fire,
yeah,
very
man.
efficient, you
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
Very
For
good with
sure.
that.
Yeah, so, you know, that was a great thing to see, you know. We saw the reaction to it, you know, the police force and thing, they even killed some people. So we know there's great sacrifice with these things, you know, and we're sad to see that for sure. But, you know, we've seen the effect of it, you know, and there's, you know, once you organize and you have that many people willing for, you know, risk even them life to deal with it, you know, so you'll have change.
Many times Jamaicans youth are criticized for being idle, right? Spending their days drinking rum and boom and smoking. But I feel these criticisms are irresponsible due to the lack of acknowledgement for the collective depression and hopelessness
Yeah.
that seems to have a grip on many youths in Jamaica. As a man with his ear to the street still, right? Do you believe Jamaican youth are suffering from a mental health crisis?
I definitely feel so. You know, when you look at even just the vibe of the music nowadays,
Dark,
everything sound dark and
very dark.
depressing, and everybody's talking about them depressed feelings and things like that. Well, it's good to acknowledge your feelings and to be able to express it, but it shows the reality. You know, we've seen, as I said, you know, capitalism and democracy and these things is difficult for developing nations. I can tell you that when there's poverty and there's no economic thriving or anything like that, it's hard to really govern yourself. You know, and we see the impact of the youths, you know, the legacy of the war and crime and the political violence and all of these things and the stagnation. As much as Jamaica, you go to Kingston now. My little brother went to Kingston after, you know, I'm not sure how many years, maybe 10 years or so, and he said it looked completely different. But if you go into any ghetto in Jamaica and tell me if you've seen a difference over the last 50, 60 years, you know what I mean? And that's the reality where the youths them know, so them turn to scamming. So them singing about Obia, them singing about Mali, things that wasn't in our culture. The woman, them a sing about all the things that them a do to other women, to man, all kind of thing, sexually and all of these things. Where, yeah, we always have a culture where we kind of on the edge with certain things, especially in the music, creatively. But it's like, they know, to me, yeah, for sure, it has shown some mental issues within society.
Yeah, there's definitely
The bleaching too is a major.
big time with the
We
bleaching.
know so that's mental.
Big time. There's definitely been a moral decay. And I'm glad you brought up the lyrics. You know LaRussell, Bridging from Oakland, the rapper?
LaRussell. I'm familiar. I hear the name, yeah.
We interviewed him, so I asked him the question, right? And he was saying that it's a mixture of that, yes, there is a high level of depression, but also singing about it is profitable because it's kind of trending in a sense. That's the trending conversation. So it gets muddled up, but because of the trending part, you're putting out that message more.
Yeah.
And you're circulating it more. So it comes
No,
like
for
that.
sure. It feeds as a self-feeding system. So what you find is like people like to live vicariously through the artists with them listen. Just like the TV shows and things. It's like you want to see the worst thing them. You want to see the thing them will raise up your dopamine levels. And that's what the music I do. Like, may I watch intelligent people, people well educated out at parties singing about say them dance and all of them things. And there's like a sense of pride while them are sing the lyrics, Like, to me, you have to really assess what go on mentally, But the fact say it's a trend, just being on the wave of what is trending. Enough people just don't want to be outside of the wave. It's just like when COVID and everybody are talking about get vaccine. Nobody don't want to be outside of the wave because everybody has to get the vaccine. So once you say you now get it, it's like you're outside of the wave. It's like them don't want to hear nothing from you and them ready for cancel you. So the moment you say anything where I go against what I go on, I will see it happen to me last year as well. You say anything where I go against something that is prevalent within the wave. Nobody don't want to hear from you. Them want you to flow with the stream. You understand? But I say it go.
Back to the mental health thing, right? And this criticism. What I realize is that the reason I say it's irresponsible, people don't acknowledge the role society plays in people's mental health.
Yeah.
So when people are kind of, it's escapism at the end of the day. When you drinking and smoking at a certain level, it's escapism. Let's acknowledge
for
that.
Sure.
So why do you have so many people in your society that are trying to escape society?
Because what society have to offer, everything is the escape. When you look at the reality of what go on, like somebody will tell me say, them in a them community a yard where they, and you hear say a 60-year-old lady, the man them rape her and cut off her head.
An elderly lady?
Yeah, 60-year-old. Just think about that. You have to deal with whether or not you see them actually did lay down her body with the head beside of the body, in the street somewhere, And it's like when you think about them things there, imagine if you see that, or even just hearing about it is traumatizing. Imagine you deal with that every day. It must lick your chip at one point. And then what you do? You don't have no remorse for anything after that. You start to lose touch with reality. Because you realize, say, I don't know if the bad word thing, but it's like you just don't give a fuck about nothing no more. You understand? And that is just the reality where enough of the youth them have. The youth them don't care no more. Because what them have to care about? It's just like Morgan Heritage, rest in power to Peter Morgan. Do you see anything to smile about? Look on the gully side. Look on what you see. And that's the life.
I've witnessed the growth of your writing ability. Breath control. I want to talk about that. Breath control is crazy.
Yeah.
Flow, topics, and live performance, right? But first, I want to talk about your expansion of topics and being more open about your life experiences in your music.
Yeah.
When did you come to the point where you're not just analyzing outside? I know you analyze yourself, but you're sharing the analysis of yourself. At what point or what song do you think you got comfortable where you're like, you know what? I'm comfortable enough to share my experiences in my music?
Interesting question, and I can tell say really, I follow the thing from the way I ask the question, and I appreciate it because it's been a journey. It's like I'm always introspecting myself. So like my friends and family know I'm the type of person where I'm always a critique myself. But musically, I've always been like someone looking out at society. And no fight kind of, it come from a place where when you kind of grow in what people could have said uptown, or you grow a little bit more privileged, it's not easy to speak about your life in a way everybody can relate to it. You know, when you come from the ghetto, you come from poverty, you speak about overcoming all of these things. People relate to that, people gravitate to that, because that's the reality of most people. Most people who are consuming the music. You know, when you talk about certain things and you kind of never have to worry about certain things, you have other issues, you know. But it's like maturing as an artist, I realized that these other issues where I may have had, there's ways where people can relate to it as well without going into the typical thing about social status and all that, poverty and, you know?
Fire, hold your argument, right? And I'm glad you said that, because especially in reggae and hip hop, there's this obsession with this ghetto life.
Yeah, man.
It's almost like if you didn't grow up in poverty, it's almost like you're not black to a certain extent. And you know how it go, because you've been amongst artists that grew up in certain places, but they have to talk about this, even though that's not their experience. But continue though.
No, it's trust me, it's one of the unspoken things within music, because if you grow uptown, you kind of have to just not talk about it, because it get weird. It's like people assume that if you grow a certain way within a certain social status,
You don't
that
have
you
no problems.
you have no problems. But them also, there's two sides to it. People tend to feel like them better than people. And then you have people who assume, say, you think you're better than people. So you have to navigate those two things. So somebody like me, you know, my parents wasn't the richest, but me never have to worry about hunger and them kind of thing. You understand? Like certain basic things were met. So it's like I can't really, went through certain times in my life where the money never did it, yes, but at the same time, I never had to deal with certain levels of hunger, certain levels of poverty, frustration and depression and all of them kind of things. So sometimes, like I get it because unless you go through that, it's hard to even speak on it. Or it's just like if somebody don't experience something. Like if you say, if you only visit Jamaica once or twice, you can't go up on some social media platform like you're some expert on Jamaica. But if you live it now, it's like, and our music as a culture around ghetto life and around, because that's really where the music it stem from, you know, like having a way to express that, take yourself out of the sufferation, you know, as well as speaking against the political situation and all of this, the systematic things. So that's the culture within the music. That is why me now, I always took the approach of speaking out against these things. You know, for me, it never makes sense to sing about, you know, driving, go school in a BMW and all. That never made no sense to me. You know, it's like, no. So I choose to use my ability as a lyricist and my platform to speak against the injustice, because from my view, I don't believe anybody should have to go through poverty and sufferation. So if there's a way where we can balance the scales, so I use my music for channel that, you know, and try to have an impact on that level.
But when did you get to the point that you started sharing your experiences?
I think I just growing as an artist, because I think Gong's album Stony Hill was a revelation for me, because he started to set certain things within his writing, and I was like, my situation and Gong's situation is not the same, but I could relate. You know what I mean? Like my daddy made it out. Like my father used to walk miles barefoot go school in Portland, you know, and him build up himself as a businessman, like grinding and just develop himself to having the first computer store in Jamaica. And I watched my father grow and develop as a businessman. So that inspired me. So I know the feeling of daddy made it out, you know. So, but speaking about being in Stony Hill and all, you know, me have brethren who live at Stony Hill, so we usually power up this and we did there, I go to uptown party them, and you know, so I can relate to that whole thing. So when I saw that now, I was like, I'm not necessarily take the same approach, but maybe I can find ways to be more honest about my reality. And I think Addiction was one of those songs where it really kind of speak to something where, this is something where me go through. Everybody went through it in COVID. You're stuck with your phone, and that's why I believe these diseases, none of these things have man-made elements to it. So I believe that there's a plan to get us all on, the technological wave. So everybody who wasn't on it before, they're on it now because they had to. Because you couldn't go nowhere. You had to use your phone. You had to order food through your phone. You had to get food delivered. You had to do all of these things. So it kind of speed up that process. So me being able to find a way to sing about my reality kind of stem from that growth where I talk about.
And the issue you experience, what black people experience, they put black people in a monolith. And I noticed that like there's a criteria for being black that is not necessarily up for fire.
Yeah, no, for sure.
The standard's pretty low, right?
No, for
and
sure.
if you don't grow with that low standard, it's almost like your black card is questioned.
No, definitely. And that's programming. We're programmed to think that way. Because they don't want black people thriving. If black people as a race thrive, the shift of the balance in the world would be different.
And I want to touch on the father thing, which I find very important. Mm-hmm. And I just find that this is universal. Fire, this is super accurate, right? Mm. Everyone who has an ambitious father, I'm not saying that they're ambitious, but they have the potential to be ambitious because they see the example.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of times you need to see that example for it to click in your brain. And that kind of makes sense because that doubt and fear, even he didn't have to say anything to you, but just observing the grind, it like really gets in your DNA.
No, for sure. You don't ever think about it. It's subconscious. And that's when we talk about the depression where the youth's facing. Just think about the family situation, quote unquote broken homes. And then even the US, there are certain policies that, governments use to kind of incentivize, women leaving a man, all of these kind of things. And I'm not blaming the women, of course, not for the man, them are some deadbeat that way, left the youth, them and are totally irresponsible and all of these things. So all of these things add up where the youth, them not seeing an example of a stable family situation. So that stability can soak in them DNA, as you said. And a lot of them things they lead to a lot of the stuff where you're seeing. A lot of the mix-up stuff where you're seeing. The youth, them do have a stable example at home.
There's a second part to the question, right? We spoke about you opening up the flow now, right?
Yeah.
So, Fire, we remember you was rapping with an American accent, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, and this question, I'm not giving all credit to Gong when I say this, so just be clear. I know you develop on your own, but I wanted to ask, how much has working with Jr Gong impacted your flow?
Yeah, but this is something I've spoken about. I've done interviews where I talk about Gong's influence, just working with him. Cause from Well Done, I've been working with Gong from 2015. So it's almost, next year make 10 years. So he has had a huge impact on my career. To me, I rate him as one of the top songwriters in Jamaican music, and that, cause he has some songs where the depth in it is unbelievable. Him have some song where, as a man who deep into spiritual research, I feel like the thing them even deeper than what him think when he was writing it. And I know people have said that about even Bob Marley's music in the past, that sometimes these artists, they just channel things, but there's so many levels to what they're saying. And I believe that's a situation with Gong. Like him channel some things, like It Was Written and Sabbath Patience and some of these songs, man. Like, it's like, come on, man. As much as I see myself kind of like an intellectual person, in terms of I like to read and soak in information and things. The artistic expression of a man like Gong is a different level still. Being able to articulate things and get to the core of what you're trying to say and bring it across in a way where it's digestible. I think that was a key thing I learned from Gong, making the music digestible. you know, and you can see the evolution in my writing since I've been working with him. You know, because for me, I like complexity. You know, if you take up some of these books on my shelf, it's like them will hurt your head. You know, and that's the type of things I like. And I when I was, you know, transitioning from the rap side of things into more feeling confident as a reggae artist and developing as a reggae artist, I loved complexity with my lyrics and the way I write and even the flow of them. You know, but you start to realize as you mature, say, simplicity is really what.
Like overload a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, it can be, you know, for sure. And it's just your influences. Like at one point, Cannabis was like my favorite artist. You know what I mean? So it's like, and him is a man where, if you look at my, when we are use like Beer Share and LimeWire and download song in a them time there, if you're looking at my Cannabis folder, enough of them are just some freestyle with no chorus. Same with my M&M folder. You know, are just some freestyle with just lyrics alone. When man a drop album and thing, me nah listen the single them. Me just a go for the deeper cuts them and other. Me a listen Wu-Tang Clan. Not for the man them song don't even have chorus. The actual records. Triumph is a song me could have recite from start to finish. And not one chorus in a song. So I never really evolved musically like that, where like song structure and all of these things and the simplicity of catchy choruses.
With lyrics, fire.
That my thing was just always lyrics. So it's really just over time, you know, you start to develop the artistry of things and the songwriting, and you realize what connect and what don't connect. And it's just been a trial and error thing for me. I never born into the music like that. You know, I never born going to studios or seeing how other artists put together songs and all of them things. I never ever have. So, you know, I never ever have like music I play in my house. Like my mother listen gospel music. So there was a time when my mother separated from my father and we only had JBC and CVM. The only dancehall music me I watch is the music video them. Enough time is just a song them with some of the artists them where they get signed back in the day and do some nice proper video. Them would have show up on TV. So me now get to really hear everything where I go on. I just like when I drive go country with my father, I listen Beer Bob Marley CD, Dennis Brown, Buju Banton. And at home, him did have Shaggy Bombastic CD in him component set. So literally, that's pretty much all I did I listen to up to a certain point growing up. And then is when I reach high school now, I'm start to par with, you know, Abby them, Dwayne them, D and all of my brethren them now. And then make me start really listen to dancehall music. You know, and that is kind of weird. And then when I get cable now, I'm start watch BT, MTV. And that's when hip hop take over.
You was watching Rap City?
Rap City, I mean, man, Tigger in the basement, man. You know what I mean? 106 and Park is 106 and Park and them something there. Yeah, bro. So like from 96 on, that's kind of where my dancehall, I started listening to dancehall, but I was really a huge hip hop head. So from them time, they are just hip hop. At home, I just listen to hip hop. When I par with my brethren, then where I listen to dancehall, like Bunty Beanie, Sham, Spragga, Sean Paul. But they always rate Sean Paul because him the kind of sound like the rapper them as a lyricist. Spragga too, like multi-syllable rhyming. So them time I start to count the syllable them when man a rhyme together and all of them things. So if you only rhyme one syllable or two, man not really listen to you.
Need that complexity.
I need that complexity. So that's kind of how I did really develop my love for music.
All right, and two more parts of this question, right? Who did you study to improve your live performance? Because you actually put on a show now.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, you know, everybody develops in their craft, but fire, you actually put on a show. So like, who were you studying? Because I know, first of all, I remember when you didn't have any crowd participation, right?
Yeah.
So you had crowd participation.
Of course.
Then also you have the band members participating with the crowd. Then sometimes I see you fight with all the instrument. You get what I'm saying? So like, who were you pulling from to add all these things to your show?
I mean, you don't know. Every time I watch a show, we're absorbing, we're soaking in. But going on the road with Anthony B in Europe, that teach me a whole heap. That teach me about being fit, first
I
of
was
all.
just,
Like,
I was just about to say being fit fight. This man work with the artists. Yeah,
brother, them man they in the hotel room I do high knees for hours.
Seriously?
Yeah, man. Them man in a ramp, brother. Cause you have to fit for do what him do. And when them man they lift up him foot, I hope you say it there, brother. So, them you have to stay fit for the breath work. And just the energy, commanding the band, commanding the crowd. Learn them things there from him. I toured with Gong in 2017, and I just learned like building out a set, and structuring your set a certain way.
So you building your rest time and everything, and take the crowd on a roller coaster.
Exactly, you carry them
Can't
up,
be
you
100
carry
the
them,
whole time,
yeah, all of them things them I learned from Gang, and keeping things upbeat at the same time, because like you can study enough people, you can know the people them will study Bob. Them probably want to sing with a guitar, or them want to sing with the mic stand, and kind of have that look of being there with the mic stand and all of them kind of thing, and just dancing and thing. Like Gang is who I study, because I relate to Gang as a DJ. So it's like, yeah, I have the mic in my hand. I not really do the mic stand thing. There was a time when I try it, but it never really fit me, So I deal with the crowd, and I talk to the crowd, and so talking to the crowd, Ninja Man show me that. When I watch Ninja Man, the first thing him do when him go out on a stage is look down upon the crowd and start find somebody for talk to. Immediately that transmit confidence and say you're comfortable up there. So them things them I learn from Ninja Man.
And another aspect I wanted to ask too, I'm not sure the year I saw you do it, but when you started implementing hit songs
Yeah.
in your set fire, because it's needed, especially for people that don't know you, just to keep their attention.
Exactly.
When did you start doing that, and when did you find that gem?
When did I start doing that? So
First time I saw you do that was in Brooklyn fight. That was like before COVID. That's probably like
2019,
2018. When Contraband come out? 2018? It's probably 2018. It's you and Jesse Roy. That's the first time I saw you do it.
No, a lot of it started because of songs I did. So when I did the Stalag song and Accurate mixtape with Walchi, that kind of, so we sample the rhythm and we play the stems and other thing, and then in a rehearsal, we start to just vibe different thing in that era of rhythms. So like and through me, sometimes my melody a little shaky, so I make Grizzle sing it. So it's like Grizzle, them man, they are more singer, so it's like some of them think that. So it's like man them dead and now, and Grizzle a sing and Jody a sing, Nicolene and Jody will sing Bam Bam, Mama Nancy version and thing, and then me just kind of dead there, I wonder what me if do. So it's like we did start to make the band switch up, because through Grizzle a sing, Jench now him take up the bass. So we start to organize it now, like we start to introduce to the crowd and said that section and him versatile. So it's like me, sometimes me just dead and I do nothing, then me see the guitar there, I say, wait, so I can't play guitar too. So I make the man them teach me the few notes them to play, and more time, I never practice it, just when we're in a rehearsal, I just them time I get fit, but we still I just do my thing. And so that we realize the power of doing like familiar material just out of doing that.
Fire. I don't care. No disrespect to artists. If you have a certain level of catalogs, I think it's still needed.
Yeah.
But fight is needed because everybody there don't know you.
Exactly.
You gotta keep people attention for it.
Brother, that's the thing. Like, I find that definitely within the Caribbean diaspora, it's all about sound popularity. That's what people go out for. Like, the bigger the audience is, the more hit songs the artists have.
Familiarity.
Familiarity.
Yeah, that's what they are.
100%. Yeah. That's what it's about. So, my reason with a bridging on the flight to send kids with this elder brother. And he talk about an artist, and he must say, it's almost like he would have said, but who is the artist? Which song him sing? I don't know none of them song them. So it's like immediately that's how people evaluate the artist. Do you know the song? So like if police stop me on the road in Jamaica, I'ma tell them say, you know, where I deal with the artist. So I say, wait a bit, I say, Kabaka, which song you sing? You have to can sing a song, make them know.
Facts.
You know, and that's just the reality. It's
Hit
like
song culture fight.
when I'm performing outside of the diaspora, we still like to cover certain things because you still will have people there who know the music, generally, like the history of the music. But a lot of times you don't. Like outside of diaspora, I find that people kind of more get into the artist and the band. Them looking at the guitarist, them looking at the bassist. They're more kind of into band culture and just music. Them just sometimes them never listen to the lyrics. Them just a vibe to the beat and the rhythm and all of these kind of things. So it a little bit less important when I'm outside of the diaspora kind of markets, but definitely, you know, anywhere in the Caribbean, Jamaica, you know, big diaspora cities, New York, them places, it's all about your catalog. So more time I even shift up my set based on certain place. And I know say, oh, people them are gonna want to hear them song, yeah. Even when it's song when I not really love to perform. You know, but you know say you have to drop it in your set because you're there. Yes, sir, you're there. You know, and yeah, because people are gonna say, yo, you go on good enough, but me not hear my song. And it's like them vexed with you, you know. So it's a real thing where you have to balance as an artist. But over time, sometimes, you know, me reach a point where me was doing a little bit too many covers, so I kind of tone it down a little bit. But that's the thing. As I say, me is a man where me never get them big hit there because I was never into hit music. I was just into lyrics. So it's really people who appreciate love lyrics, love Kabaka Pyramid. You know, it's almost like me is an artist's favorite artist. Because every artist want to be a lyricist. You know, even the singer them want to be lyricist. So when them say a lyricist, it's like them rate that. You know, so yeah, if as you say, if you have 50 hits, you gotta do them. You don't necessarily need to do anything else. You know, but every artist different.
All right, and the last part of this question is all right, you've done extensive touring with the Cali reggae bands, right? What practices have you adopted from them in both your approach to music and business?
Yeah. So yeah, I've toured with a few bands from Cali Revolution, Tribal Seas recently, Hawaiian band Iration, and yeah, it's a learning experience. Cause them the business part of things well structured. You know what I mean? Like definitely learn how to set up my merch business. You know, through touring with some of these bands. Um, Getting my gear certain way. Like when you tour with a band and them a give you a certain level of equipment for use and you put in them thing there in your ears and you hear the music clear. You see, me never hear music so good before, you see me? And instead of you struggle with the monitor them and things, so when we tour with them bands, we go step up a gear, you know what I mean? And you watch how they structure their shows too, and you take little hints on how them interact with the audience through the
All right, it's
music.
levels to this thing, yo. It's levels. You get what I'm
100%.
saying?
The lighting game,
yeah, it's levels.
all, you know, the actual instruments. I like to watch and see, you know, which keyboards them I use and certain things, even though we have our sound with our instruments still. But, you know, you kind of see because some of them on a different budget, so them on a different standard. It's not everybody gets to go on the road with acts that's on a different budget category. You know, some people get to go up on tour with hip hop bands or whatever who they're on a certain level. So when you do that now, me just study everything across the board. Me I study how them team operate, the road manager them, how them structure them thing, everything. And it's the same with my team. My managers them study everything where it's happening.
And how much has adding merch helped you? Because merch you kill on the roof, right?
Yeah, your merch is a savior.
You get what I'm saying? So like,
Merch is a savior, brother. Merch allow you. Hear what merch do. I said it. I made a tweet recently. Let me see if I can remember it exactly. I said, touring is a reason to sell merch. Merch is a reason to get emails. And emails is how you're gonna sell your albums, your music, your tours, and more merch. So that's really the cycle. Like having merch on the road allow you to invest in other things. Whereas if you just do a tour budget and, you know, whether you're doing your tour bus or your vans or whatever, your hotel rooms and your flights, visas, all of these things. All of these are costs. You're paying your musicians. You're giving 10% to the agent. A lot of times, if you bring in a band, especially a significant band, 5 piece, 6 backup singers, all of these things, it's expensive. Sometimes you break even. And then it's merch allowing you to have a little food at the end of the thing. You know, and sometimes we've gone on the road multiple times and made losses. And that was kind of before we really got the merch thing together and started having variety of merch. Sometimes we'd just do like two different shirt designs and all of them things. Now it's like we set up like a store. Cause I remember I was on tour, me and Iba was on tour, Young Lions tour. And we got invited to J-Book show in House of Blues in LA. It's the first time I see an artist have a merch store in the venue. Me attack enclosed with 4 walls and racks on top of racks and
The average Virgin just deal with that for years.
yeah, bro, you have to. You have to. You have to have people. You have to have a merch team. Like you have a vehicle where you stock up or a trailer where you stock up with merch and then you have somebody, you know, counting off, somebody selling. You have to have somebody with good sales personality to sell the merch. Them things are crucial, brother. Them you can clear crazy money on the road with just merch alone.
On your last album, The Calling, right? You have 2 songs with Jamari Morgan, Energy
Yeah.
and Grateful. And you guys have, it's called Energy, and you have great energy when you work together. So
Yeah,
hopefully you do
straight.
more things in the future. All right, I want to talk about both songs. First song is Energy, right? When did you start to be able to identify bad energy from people and learn ways to navigate bad
Yeah.
energy? I think people spend too much time absorbing bad energy from people and they struggle with
100%.
identifying it and distancing themselves from it. So since you have a
So-
song about energy, right? when did you
So-
when did you start to observe, say, fight this man energy off, yo? This can't work.
So here what? Me is a very perceptive person. Sometimes to a fault, where I can get lost in the process of just observing people and observing behavior. I mean, as a man, I always want to know why people do things. Sometimes it'll hurt up my head. I try to figure out why somebody's the way they are. And it's like, as you start to rise as an artist, you watch the uniqueness of, I like to say it's Jamaican personalities, you know, but I'm sure if you go around the world, you'll see other people who behave similar. But there's a specialness about the way Jamaican people behave. Like, it's like we feel like the whole world revolves around me. And them feel like as much as you are the artist, you know, and them coming to you about something, you know, it's like everything is still about them. And that is where the energy draining are forward now. It's like them have no concern about your interests. None at all. And it's something where you have to deal with, you know, the dubplate world is, that is a, you know, as much as we love sound system culture, we love, you know, I grew up, I have a sound in a high school, with voice artists and dub and all of them things. But like the energy draining, when me have to deal with as an artist, when it comes to that, bro, it's crazy.
Elaborate more for those unaware. I know exactly what you're saying, but for those unaware about dubplate culture, please elaborate.
So, all right, it's a lot of aspects to it because you have people where it's a funny thing. Because I don't want, you know, I don't want to throw nobody under the bus or anything. And not even in terms of calling any names or nothing. But it's like there's so many aspects to the dubplate culture. Like the people them who are sell the dubplate them, you know, the people them who them come on your show and it's like it's almost like you just come off a stage.
Man on business, he don't say good show or nothing. It's straight
I'm
to
on
the
no
dubplate.
business, brother. I'm about just I get straight to like dubplate business. And it's like, bro, there's a time and place for everything. You see me? And then not to mention like just the first of all, in and of itself, you are giving your energy to somebody else. First of all, first and foremost. People them who don't want to play your song unless you give them a dub. it's like the song itself now no value, you know. The thing that is value is the gratification where them get from calling your name, from you calling them name. And it's like,
Fire, you don't want to say it, I'm gonna say it. DJs think they're more important than artists. So I'll say it so you don't gotta say it so you don't get in trouble. So when they hear it, they can say I said it. That's what the culture is. The DJ, the selector feel they're more. Remember I had a conversation with them.
Yeah.
They feel they're more important than the artist, and that dub plate fire is such a narcissistic thing in a sense.
yo, I'm glad you said it.
No, it's truthfully because it's like I've heard selectors like disregard a song and like their dub plate is better than the song, and it's just like
Oh my God.
I don't see the correlation, but it is a insecurity. It's just a weird culture. No disrespect to no DJs that don't partake, but those who do know who they are. But that's the source of it, and I'll say it so you don't gotta say it. All right?
No, for sure. And
That's
as
the,
I
that's,
said,
that's the source of it.
as I said, you know, we love the sound clash thing. You know, I've benefited from the dub industry, if you want to call it that. But to me, it's just, yeah, it's a pressurizing thing. You know what I mean? It's a pressurizing thing. Like, me as a man, me no approach the dub thing like it's a 9 to 5. You have a lot of artists who do that.
Survive off dub.
Yeah, so, you know, them a go studio, them a look for cut 10, 15, 20, 30 dub. That are just part of the work. For me, it's like, it take energy for me to do that. Me have to inner a certain vibe for want to do that, brother. So it's like, when the money forward now and it's like, the pressure there. And then now when and then when you put in the work now and you voice the thing and you send them off. Because I'm a man, I voice myself, you know. I edit the dub them, I bounce them out and thing. And then now the man them tell you say you pronounce something wrong when them never tell you how to pronounce that you have to go back and do it over. Well, you know, I just some of them little nuances still, but yeah, and then you know you have some people where just it's like them want hear the next thing about the dub thing. Because not everything is about me. You have enough people where them want friend of the artist because other artists where the artist link with. So it's like them want to get to Kabaka so them can get the link and so and all of them kind of thing. And or in general, people meet them want to know the artist. And them want to know the artist just so that them can get to jingle or to dub. And it's like them know it. And enough of time them, brother. Next topic here. Because I don't want to sound ungrateful. Like, I don't want to sound, and then the thing is, all right, DJs don't have the power that they had in the past, but they still act like they do. You know, and that's the thing. Like, we're in a social media age now. There's no one DJ anywhere in the world that can bust your song if you have that song. Back in the day, that was the case. There was sound system where if that sound they play your song in a this setting, it a go bust. That's not the case anymore. You know, so make could deal with the reality of the times. Make could operate within the spectrum of what we are dealing with now.
I think that's my wife always say people are dealing with like an archaic system, and I think unfortunately I don't know about the younger generation, but definitely the veterans, they still have that mind frame, like they have that control.
Yeah, for sure.
And they just don't fight it, and it's hard for people to come to reality when things change and their position in society changes.
But it's funny because I actually, there's part of me that wish we were still in the era where like the radio, DJs, sound systems had that power. As opposed to just trying to go viral on social media or hoping say it got trend on YouTube and getting at the algorithm and them thing. Because to me, if you were talented enough, if the rhythm was good enough, your song was good enough, it's easier to get a hit song back in the day. I'd say before 2010. If you are, as I said, I not say everybody good enough, you know, but if you're good enough, if your song good enough, your rhythm, all of that, the production is good enough, you have a little budget for promote, it's easier to get big song in a them time there. Right now, I hear a whole heap of good song and record, but there's no platform for bust the song them. There's no avenue where I go turn the song into a big song unless it's a gimmicks thing or like a shock value.
I think the biggest problem right now is getting access to the fan because there's just so much going to the fan. And as you said,
Exactly.
specifically for reggae, there's no hub or no any place to look
There's no
for
one place
music.
that the fans are going to hear the
Yeah,
music.
facts, facts, facts.
You know, some are go YouTube, some are go Spotify, some are go this, some are look for who them follow. Some people only are go hear a song if them see them friends share it. You can get the radio DJ them every jingle, every dub. Some people just not listen to radio again. And that's just the reality. You know, so to me, it was a little easier in terms of to have song success back in our previous eras. You know, but now it's all about you building your individual platform, finding what about you people gravitate towards. You know, and yeah, that's so.
What's the name said that Two Styles piece saying it's not about the music anymore, it's about the actual person fire.
Exactly.
You know? All right. Second tune we're here, Jameer Morgan. Song Grateful, right? You speak about the importance of gratitude. How do you balance being ambitious and still practicing gratitude?
Yeah, that's a key balance. I think part of my journey with that is just about being grounded through life situations. You know, I never get too high with the successes. You know, I try not to get too low when things, you know, in terms of emotionally, obviously. Um, so naturally, you know, I try not to make hypeness and them kind of thing affect me. You know, and that's about being grounded. You have to be self-observant to do that. When you not observe yourself, that's when your actions can get out of hand because you're not check. You know, and you have to have the type of mind to do that. Having people around you also, with dead from day one, them thing they keep you grounded.
They can check you when you get out
You
there.
them can check you, you know, when you're, yeah, that thing the way they say, it kind of, I have to have people who strong enough to do that. Because some people are just, yes, man. You know, them nah go tell you. You know, so I appreciate of honesty when it comes to them thing there. And, you know, I have to big up my father because no matter how much wins I get, my father is a man where him always, him don't realize him I do it, you know. But him always I go compare me to like a Sean Paul or somebody because to him know people where they, you know, work with him and things. So him hear about experiences of a man like Sean. Everything in his mind him a compare. So it's like as much as me I get big in this, me no reach this so. So there's always a little motivation and a thing where me not go get too high because certain people where you want the approval from, it's like you still not get it yet. And it's like Gong have a similar effect on me too. Where in reason with him always keep me humble. Him always keep me in check. Him know when to big me up, you know, and for highlight the wins and them thing, but him always kind of keep me in check with certain things. And yeah, me give thanks for those things. I think those things allow you to stay within a place of gratefulness. Because you not get too high or too big-headed or too overconfident.
So after the Grammy fight, you ain't find yourself getting hype?
I wouldn't say no, but hear what? The thing is, people will misconstrue things because them expect it to be hype. You know, and that's a factor where you have to factor in to people's observations. You know, and I found that I received some of that after getting the Grammy for sure. But it's like, just imagine, it's almost like the music equivalent of like Olympic gold medal. You know, or like, you just say like multiple gold medal. Because if a man win one gold medal and the next man win four, it's like winning the Grammy is like the man who did win that four day in the Olympics day as it relates to reggae music. And it's like everything changed about the way people perceive you after that. So it take a really strong personality to balance that. So me nah say me perfect and me never, some of that never CP in or whatever, but it could have been a lot worse. Like I tell you that, brother. I tell you that for sure.
I want to talk about the tune Addiction, which seems like a tune that is both observational and biographical. What did you observe in yourself and in others that inspired you to write this song?
Yeah. So addiction was really.
And oh, sorry. Please start with the social media one. Waking up and looking at the phone.
Yeah, for sure. So addiction now is a song where it's three parts to it. I talk about phone addiction, social media, online shopping, and sugar. So, food, cravings, all of them kind of things. And me personally, I wouldn't say I'm really addicted to sugar, but, diabetes and sugar-related illnesses in general is a thing where in my family, black people relate to it right across the world. So it's definitely something from personal experience. But really, the whole thing for me is related to COVID and that period of being locked down. And to me, it's such a significant turning point in humanity as it relates to how we deal with technology and how we deal with socializing too. Because you couldn't, they might tell you to distance yourself, they might tell you to stay home, lock in, you're just on your phones all day. And these phones give off radiation. The fluorescent lights on the phone and all of these kind of things, them affect, brain function. So I'm a man where I like to turn off my phone and don't ever keep it in the same room as me when me asleep. So even waking up, wake up in the morning as I open up my eyes, I see my phone line right. I not gonna necessarily have my phone there, but know enough people where it's like them are listen music before them go sleep. And to me, that's one of the worst things them I can do. Cause I actually sensitive to it. I can feel. If me I use my phone and drop asleep, when I wake up, I feel it. Like tension in my head. So it's like, them something there is really, what we use and the real inspiration behind a song there. And then, online shopping, Amazon and them thing there, definitely, even me myself, I have a problem when it comes to them thing. For sure, brother. I know, like, when I write about, every 10 minutes I check the status of the tracking. Then after that, you click continue shopping. Yeah, for sure. And it's just a convenience. We're living in a time of convenience. You know what I mean? And
I wanted to ask, man, because like as an artist, and you've demonstrated what's the term they use, fire delayed gratification, right?
Instant gratification and delay, yeah.
So we have delayed in your career to get where you are is a high level of delayed gratification, right? But you're living in a time of instant gratification. How has it impacted your approach to music in the sense that do you feel pressure sometimes to release certain things or to do stuff with the idea of thinking you're going to stay relevant? Have you kind of had that issue creep in now because things are so fast?
Definitely. It's something where, as an artist, you have to sit and discuss something with your team, like the frequency of releasing music. A lot of it come down to the algorithms of the platforms. For me, it's never really about being relevant. Like, is in terms of like, from an ego perspective, like, I want my name be called up constantly, or it's never really about that. But you want to make sure, say, you're providing people with enough substance and music to sustain the touring, because that's the main pillar of what I am doing really is releasing music and touring. That's the major portion of my income is touring. So you want to make sure, say, I feed the people with music so that, and as long as you do have the inspiration too. Because to me, you have a point as an artist, where it's like you rise, and then you kind of, sometimes you hit a plateau, and then after a while, it starts go downhill. In terms of your ability to create good music and music were appealing to your fans.
Hey, I'm glad you said that, right? Two things I want to touch on is that I think fans are unrealistic about how much creativity a person has inside of them at a certain level.
100%.
Next thing, too, with the artist, I feel when your lifestyle changes, your music changes.
100%.
Because your environment changes, right?
Definitely.
You're smiling, so I'm pretty sure you
No, for sure, brother.
And I think that with reggae artists now, hip-hop is not so bad. I think they could spew out the same thing. reggae artists is different because it's so political and social.
Yeah, true.
And when you're more comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
militancy kind of died. It is what it is, fire. You get what I'm saying? Like the militancy, you're not so angry all the time anymore. You're more comfortable, you
Yeah,
know.
all right.
And
So some of it is being comfortable, like, financially in your life situation. Some of it is just age and maturity too. Like a lot of artists bust in them 20s,
when the fire hot,
that's when the fire
and the
hot. Like,
understanding not that deep. You got a shallow understanding. That's why the fire's so hot. You know.
exactly. There's not wisdom there. You're getting a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, but you don't have the wisdom to process it. You don't have that experience of time to know what is bullshit, what is real, and but you have that fire in you, and that's the time to use it. So that's when everybody changing up, them trying out different religions, them sight up far right, them go vegan, all of these kind of things. And some of it stays, some of it doesn't. Some people, that's when them get lax, them want to try it and all of these. And it's just, it's the same even outside of consciousness and like black power movements and them things. Just when people go college and university, that's when they might experiment with everything. They might explore. That's a lot of social uprisings, i.e. in Kenya, start from the universities. That's when the youth them really inspired to do things, and them don't have that other side in them brain saying, no, just hold back a little bit, you know? So you have to kind of use that too, and yeah, as you said, the music will change due to that, and for me, I hope it hasn't changed too much, but is the dilemma with every artist. If you listen to every artist's first project or the project before them get the deal,
That's their whole life. Right?
that's everything. That's always that raw, the core of who they are. And if you go back, go listen rebel music, you will know who Kabaka Pyramid is. I might not have the voice and the delivery like I do now, or like, the way how to write the music in a way that it appeals to a wide audience, but you will hear who I am. And that's just it. You can't change that. You can't necessarily go back to that.
All right, next question. Not next question, next part of this, because I burn the fire hot on the
Yeah.
artist, right? And I wanted to ask, man, in regards to like, do you think, and even I have to mature in my criticism to a certain level, because I noticed with my critique, I wasn't leaving space for artists to grow.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
felt
yeah.
the wave fire with all the trap things and all the little mix up beats
Yeah,
dudes
yeah.
is releasing, right? But I think with reggae specifically, with your generation, the growth was a deviation from the source. And I think that's the issue that I had in many of our fundamental reggae fundamentalists
Sure,
fire
for sure, for
had,
sure.
right? And like, how do you, not you so much, you deviated a little bit far right? Where certain songs, because I'm saying what's going on here, right? But the album, it was just, I think the album you really were present. I think you told me Gong told you something in regards to music where whatever way it comes out, just release it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I could say with Colin, I don't think you were like trying to do stuff. I think you just released what was in you.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
straight.
Even with the UK vibe there, I just think that you wanted to express you had that talent, right?
Straight.
But with reggae artists, I think that like far as some people just deviated from the thing, And the thing I don't understand,
When you say deviate, you're talking from like Rasta culture or from their previous music?
I would say Rasta culture and previous music.
Okay, okay.
Right? So with the Rasta culture now is that I understand people mature, but it seems like they lost that. You can grow and keep your essence.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right?
Straight.
And it seems that people moved away from that essence. In regards to the music now, Farai, right?
Mm-hmm.
The music is that the message is kind of there, but it seems like a forced thing, like they're trying to break. You can explain this. I'm glad I'm asking you so you can speak.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like the artists, or you can speak about yourself with certain
Yeah.
songs. Was the song made to like break in another thing, or was this just a natural expression with certain music? Was the intention to say, you know what, I'm making this song to break into another market, or is this just what we're dealing with right now in the studio? This was the vibe, and this is what we're releasing.
No, for sure. Sometimes you do songs because you want to break in different markets. Like, and when you tour, you see in different markets, you see, different crowds react to your music. You're also watching other bands, seeing how people reacting to their music. So that kind of sometimes will inspire you to try different things because, like, personally still, And you mentioned it, or I said something and it reminded me of something Styles P said, that people are more into or it's about you as the artist now, and as opposed to music. And I think for me, my ventures outside of the diaspora regions hold true to that even more. Like I see people that are into Kabaka Pyramid and what I stand for and who I am, more than whether this song is popular. Like, it's like people would tell you say certain songs bring them to tears. And it's not like this wasn't even a single. This song has never played on radio anywhere. You know, and it's like, one, just the willingness to even express that to you is one. The fact that that's the song that made them do that. It shows sometimes it's like them things that make you feel like, yeah, you know, feel like genuinely loved. It's not just about I have these popular songs so people love me because my songs are hits. And then, like, people would genuinely love the artist them because of the amount of hits them getting. And because them can perform and them have charisma and them inspiring and all of that. But it's like without the hits, do you get that love? And that is a thing where when I see artists switching up their music to kind of feed these other cultures, part of me kind of understand. Because especially if it's somebody like me, we're not getting the heights of love like locally, you know, whereas maybe compared to internationally or compared to other artists locally. So, you know, every man kind of, artist, every man, woman kind of choose them part and see what's like. Sometimes people go where them see the music working. If you, all right, some man them go do a garage song or a jungle song, and them realize that them voice, them melody over these jungle beats, the thing shot. So them just base them whole career off of that.
All right, that's the thing now. I'm talking from a reggae fundamentalist fire
True,
fan.
true.
The issue is not the song fire. The issue is when you try to make every song like it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So say your last album, right? I think one of the ones had the wickedest roots on the herb tune with Black I Am.
Black Am I, yeah.
Black Am I, right?
Yeah, man.
But it's not like the whole album was all like it was still the core of what you build your career off of.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
the part I don't understand. You're deviating from what people know you from.
Yeah.
You get what I'm
It's
saying?
that thing. All right. So
it's like, hold on real quick.
Yeah.
It's like I may be mixing them up, but it's say you got Coca-Cola and you got Sprite. And you got, I don't know if I'm correct, but as an example, they still sell Coca-Cola.
straight.
They didn't throw away the Coca-Cola just to sell Sprite.
No, I totally get it. Totally get what you say. And
I'm saying this to say this. I feel that this what has really hurt reggae.
yeah. So I think there's enough aspects to it. Like reggae music from a songwriting, song topic, you know, an idea expression perspective, it can be a limiting range of things. You know, it's like other genres of music tend to go into like lyrics and songwriting and just life experience in a totally different way. You know, and like simplicity really holds true in a reggae music. You know, so if you are not necessarily at the core a simple person, it's kind of hard to just keep reproducing the same thing where the fans them want.
So it seems like you're saying reggae music doesn't really allow artists to grow to a certain extent with creativity.
Some artists,
Some
yes.
artists.
I think,
or not kind to some artists who try to grow
yeah, exactly. It's very unforgiving. And to me, reggae artists, and especially Rasta reggae artists, are the most highly scrutinized. Let me not say people. If I say people, that's an exaggeration. But musicians in the world.
I would have to disagree with that, Farai. I would disagree with that. The reason I say it is this, right? I do understand because you have the Rasta thing. There's a certain standard of that. But no, I think everybody get the fire hot now. I think
Ooh.
everybody get the fire hot. Hip
Into-
hop, dancehall. It's not a free because even when they get too far in dancehall, they get burned out. Fire. It's still a limitation of what you can do.
Nah, brother. Nah. Like
I don't
like
think
not
they get
alright.
criticized like people think. Far.
Nah, brother. Just all right. So even a man like listen, Nas. Would you say Nas is conscious?
Nas is a complicated person, right? But I'm saying,
No, but if
I listen to Nas and he has such a wide range, right? Nas got some dark lyrics and he got some lyrics like
but
Farrakhan.
people accept it, right?
Nope, they burn him out because Nas. I got a song on my phone right now, Fire from Nas
Yeah.
on the Spotify, speaking about how the fans won't let him. He's basically saying fans won't let him grow, and he doesn't when he doesn't put out a certain type of thing. He's criticized for it. Nas has a song on it, Fire.
Do you think Nas would get his visa revoked for certain lyrics and these kind of things?
But Kabaka, that's a different vibe. Fire,
No,
Jamaica
but
versus
it's still the
America.
same thing. It's still we have whole communities and organizations,
All right.
movements of people
I will say this.
protesting and fighting against our lyrics, you know.
I will say this, right? A comparison I could bring up is a brethren. I hope I'm saying his name. I think his name is Little Baby. He said something at one of these big concerts, and he's basically been shut down since then because he had it's millions he missed because his shows were booked out. I think
Yeah.
he was getting like $300,000 a show, by the way, too. But he said something about homosexuals fighting, and it was a rap.
Yeah.
So he didn't get his visa revoked, but he got canceled.
Yeah, cancel culture. My thing is, we're in a cancel culture era now. But to me, Rasta get cancelled from way before that,
I will
brother.
say that. I will say that for
From
certain things.
way before.
I will say that, but I think that I don't know. They pick and choose to pick on certain people, because I think Capleton has always traveled. Sizzler obviously had an issue, and Killer. The main people in Jamaica that had issues with the real visa problems is Buja. Well, he's back up here now. Sizzler and Killer, right? Outside of that, unless you could correct me, I don't know an artist that really got shut down in regards
No,
to.
man, there was even Africa. You have couple where, festivals closed down because them put certain artists on the festivals and all of them kind of thing.
But I think a lot of people experience it. Maybe because Jamaica's such a small place, but I don't think yes, the criticism. Is there.
Definitely in Jamaica.
Yeah, in
There's
Jamaica.
no question. If you is a ballad reggae artist or dancehall artist, you can sing about this today, sing about this tomorrow. The people them might say, oh, you start out as a girl song and then you sing gun song. But if the song bad, the people them are gonna run with it. As a Rasta, if you start out as a holier than thou Rasta, or people view you as that, and you go sing about this, the people them are gonna burn you out, brother.
But we have to acknowledge that because of the identification of Rastafari, you're seen as the heights of morality, whether it's true
Exactly.
or not, or whether it's just or not. You are seen as that. So when you
And
deviate
that's
from
one
that,
of the reasons why.
You know?
But it's still a weight that the artists have to carry, and it's not, to me, it's not necessarily a deserving weight.
I see what you're saying.
It's just more
Musician
a
at
weight
the end
of
the day.
perception.
Yeah, I got you.
It's not like, 'cause enough people sing about stuff where it's not them reality. And I'm not saying that every artist who sing about Rasta, them is not real Rasta. Because some are, and then who defines what is a real Rasta anyway? Rasta is such an enigmatic kind of thing. It's like everybody kind of have them personal view of what it really means. So that's a whole different conversation. But to me, definitely the perception is like people almost think that being a Rasta is an artist thing. Like, them don't even see Rasta outside of an artist who burn out things. That's really like, that's the perception people have. So if you say he's a Rasta, and you not burn out certain thing where previous Rasta have burn out before, he's a sellout. You're not stand for nothing. No,
I can see where that becomes
and
a
that to
problem
me
now.
is the most unfair thing, brother. And people are gonna sit hear me say this and probably in the comment I say a bag of foolishness. But that's just the reality. It's like other people can't go into them workplace and just start burn out everybody where them see. Them are gonna get fired. And them a go, them a go have to deal with them picnic need food on the table and all of them things. But because he's a rasta and a singer, you supposed to just burn out everything, no matter what, and lose all your work, your contract, them, all of them things there. But because you are rasta and you're spiritual, money is not, we not deal with money.
All right.
That's
Now,
not a reality.
you brought up a great point now, right? People do have unrealistic expectations in regards to what should be said, how things should be said, right? I do agree with that one. But, right? No, reality fire. And you know, it's not a mix-up thing, so I won't get into that. But some people, fire, have deviated from the most basic practices, and I think that's what brings a barrage of criticism. You've gone too far,
for sure,
if you identify for something.
For sure.
You get what I'm saying? That's like me, you know me as a man, that what I do, and you see me out drinking and whoring and carrying. It don't correlate with what I do, fire. So it's like, what this man dealing with?
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing, and artists forget that, and that some people get it for whatever reason, but the Rastafari thing is serious. And once you identify that, there's a certain standard people are looking for.
For sure.
And when you deviate it, you're going to get criticized. I don't think they get criticized enough. Like me personally, that's not my thing, so I'm not going to go in public and say something. If I see a man, I'll say something to him. You probably heard once or twice, but they get mad, it's whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that's the reason, though, you know?
Yeah, no. We know the reasons, you know.
I think that's the
I'm just saying, like,
justification
sometimes
for
the
it.
justification, you know, and the way how people go about it and not putting things in context and try and putting themselves in the artist's shoes as well. It's almost like it's like Rastas are these external figures that are on this pedestal that should never step down. You know, at the end of the day, a man is a human being too, brother.
Another thing, we said this earlier with the politicians. I believe that the people view reggae artists as a form of savior. And they're crushed when you're not perfect or you're not doing what they think you should be doing.
For sure.
So tie into that savior complex, again,
that's a reality.
which is unfair to you, but we have to acknowledge their mind from that. Everyone's looking for a savior, fire. Everyone's looking to make things better for them.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I think unjustly, due to the lyrical content, reggae artists are put in that position.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and it not gonna change. It not gonna change. It's a reality, and people need inspiring influences. You know, and yeah, some artists are that for people, and yeah, them can let you down too. I've been let down by artists. You know, I know what that feels like. You know what I mean? Artists where you look up to and thing. But yeah, when you know, when people are go public with certain thing and building them whole social media persona off of, you know, the feeding the masses with the negativity of criticizing other people where you could go have one-on-one conversations with, you know?
Curly Locks, I say Curly Locks. Curly Locks, right? Two of the twins. And he said something, fire. This was off camera, but he said something. He was saying how social media is destroying the confidence of artists, bro. He was saying that the praise is silent and the critique is like a yell. And he was saying how even himself internalizes criticism. I never thought about it like that, fire. I never thought about it because I was thinking about back in the day, right? Say before social media, if someone saw you, they either would say nothing or they would big you up, but they never really would criticize you to your face. Now they have this medium where you can say the craziest things about people 24/7.
Yeah, because you have the screen.
As an artist, how do you filter criticism that's online about you?
Filtering criticism, you know, it gets tricky because we're human beings. You know, we have souls, we have sensitivities, we have insecurities, we have all of these kind of things. And when we're in this era where everybody, you know, feels brave enough to just give you them raw opinion, it's tricky. You never really had to, as you said, we never really had to deal with that before.
Such a barrage, fire. It's a lot, you know?
Yeah,
I want to use the word brave, though. Don't use the word brave, fire.
Yeah, it's a false sense of bravery. Yeah, it's like, yeah, for sure. It, you know, it's probably stemming from weakness too. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, if you look deeper, but you know, it's crazy. But at the end of the day, you have to realize, criticism is a part of what you do. And as much as before the social media era, you never really had to deal with it so directly. It was there. It's just people have them conversations amongst them friend and them thing. So now you get to see what people are think. And it's like, no, you just have to deal with it and know, say, at the end of the day, you have to define yourself. You have to believe in yourself and be confident in what you are do. You know, and just know, say, no amount of criticism, you know, can really shake that. But at the same time, be strong enough to look at it and say, maybe them even have a point. You know, if you choose that, because you don't have to choose it, because when you have thousands and thousands of comments and everything, you can't, it never makes sense you take that on. You know, but yeah, me as a man, I look through my comments and sometimes I see some insightful things, because some of these fans them really you know, and them have some things that are valid for say, but a lot of it is not really valid. That's the reality.
I think you definitely need the wisdom to filter through it, but you do have to acknowledge where things are applicable. Like, yeah, this makes sense, you know. But at the same time, I think with a lot of the comments, the source of it is just like they think they have access to this person and they want to hurt the person.
Definitely.
And I think you need to have enough discernment to filter through that too, because some of them is just like, "Fire, this don't make no sense." Yeah.
A lot of it is art. So people are doing comments because they want their comments to get reactions.
It's a culture too to have my comments with the most likes and all that.
Exactly. So people are trying to say the most outlandish things to get people to react. So sometimes it's not even about you. It's about them wanting to get something from the comments. You know, a lot of the time it's just, as you say, people who want to get a reaction from you as the person who made the post. You know, so immediately, you know, you can't give energy to. Once you see say that go on, you cut that there, so don't make that drain your energy. But it's just different cultures, everything a change up. And speaking to something you said before, it's like a lot of artists are under pressure because back in the day, it was easy. You sing a certain type of song, you sing a good mama song on a nice one drop rhythm, the song gone. You know what I mean? It was just easy. Now you do songs like that, people, unless it have something, some line in it to react to, or something where create some shock. So what people find is there are certain cultural waves that's happening globally. So like the fashion, the types of sounds people putting in the rhythms, like when all of these vocal phrases and these vocal synths became a thing, everybody gone and spliced and I get them and thing. That's a wave. So people doing these things to get on waves because just doing the music purely, it's difficult for it to just have the success of like one time. You know, so people are moving with the cultural waves of broader society where we're more globalized now. I not justify people shifting up them sound and shifting up them vibe. But that is just the reality. Like, not every artist is satisfied with the level of reach that a rootical, deep Rasta song will give you right now. There's certain people who are going to really appreciate that song, and certain type of people who are going to post it up and them thing. But if you say a song like that go number one now, it's difficult, brother. And a man have to choose, or a man or a woman have to choose whether or not that is something that is driving them. Is it to get these songs to as wide a cross section of people as possible, or you want to appeal to this set of people in the highest possible way?
You brought up a great point, and I think with anyone doing something genuine, they're at this crossroad in this time. Do I truly want to do this for whatever reason I want to do it, or I want to do it for the finances? I think that's the fight. That's the time we're in right now, yeah.
100%.
And you have to make that decision, you know? As artists, what I'm noticing is that, especially with the TikTok vibe and the attention span, it's like if you don't catch them in the first 3 seconds, fight is pretty, like, you're battling the algorithm, but you're also battling people's attention span. Will someone listen to an entire song? Have you ever looked at the watch time for your videos, your music videos?
Yeah.
Where you at?
Recently I haven't checked it.
But you think you had a minute or 30 seconds?
So yeah, some videos.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
some videos it will go like over 2 minutes,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but
That's a
some of
blessing
them, yeah, it's
still.
definitely like 1 minute or
Yeah,
less. It
yeah.
just depends.
You better than most, Fire, because most I see is around that 30-second film. Music video.
It's interesting because if I put out a reggae song,
Yeah,
most of my music are reggae.
yeah.
If me put out a reggae song and it get in a stream of like it gets suggested by dancehall songs, you will see the watch time. Like because people them fans they not try hear that. But if it gets suggested by like other music where it's reggae or whatever, then people more interested in that, so the watch time will longer.
Yeah, I think the rap videos, even the trap videos, Fire. 'Cause I did a long research on this personally. Spent a lot of time. They're about 20 to 30 seconds.
Crazy.
So no one knows. The average person doesn't know the
50
song
seconds into the
until
song.
they're doing 50 seconds into the song.
You
For big
understand?
artists, I think it's different. Like for a bigger artist, but
Yeah,
for your
yeah,
average
yeah.
artist, they don't know 30 seconds past
So
your
the
song.
start of your song.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I
Yeah,
think
man.
putting music to the side, that's my concern with society in regards to attention span. If you can't listen to something that you want to listen to, Fire,
Yeah.
how you gonna pay attention to something that you have to pay attention to, but you don't want to pay attention to it?
Yeah. Serious.
That's what I really been praying. All right. I know you've read a lot of books over the years about clairvoyance. In your travels, right, whether it be on the other side of the world, USA, in Jamaica, have you met anyone who has the ability of clairvoyance?
So I've met a lot of gifted people, people who have helped me a lot in my life. People with extrasensory forms of perception, because when we speak of clairvoyance, we're talking about, being able to perceive things that maybe the five senses aren't really aware of, like, other souls, maybe deceased souls, or the energy in your aura, in your field. To sense how you're feeling, to sense feelings and emotions and thoughts and these kind of things. So I have a lot of people where I've come across, yeah, for sure, that the thing is, there's levels to it too. Some people are born with these gifts, and these are talents that maybe were engendered in previous lives, that they brought into this life for a particular purpose. 'Cause everything we have is for the purpose of the life that we're supposed to have. So some people are born with it. But I think, and as a non-clairvoyant person, it's probably unfair to say this, but just in terms of my research, I think true clairvoyance is when you train yourself to develop it, and develop it to a point of precision. And I think that there is the ability to do that. And I don't think many people do that, There's different levels to it. It's kind of like you have clairvoyance and you have mediumship. There are two different spectrums. One is kind of trained and developed. One is kind of gifted by providence. And then you can develop it, you can expand on it, But I think there is levels to it.
Last time we reasoned years ago for the radio show, right? We were talking about the big tune "Meaning of Life" from your previous album, right? In that song, you spoke about reincarnation and past lives. Can you explain to our viewers your beliefs about reincarnation and karma?
So reincarnation and karma are closely tied together. It's also tied in with just general human evolution, spiritual evolution of our cosmos, because we are really cosmic beings that a requirement of our development is to embody in physical form and have an experience through our senses in this physical spatial reality. But a large part of our experience is outside of the bodies, when we're sleeping and when we passed on, when we've dropped the flesh. My understanding is that once we were endowed with the ability of self-consciousness, like our physical bodies were evolved sufficiently through the different stages from mineral to plant to animal to when the human form was developed for a self-conscious ego to inhabit it. That was the point that really started our human reincarnational journey. Because you have to have individuality to reincarnate. Animals don't reincarnate because they don't have individuality. They belong to like a species soul, which is an individual within the spiritual realms. But the actual animals don't reincarnate because they're not individuals. We know as humans, we have individual souls that only belong to us. And then you will have like, different ancestors who are tasked with helping you, different angelic beings or Neteru or Orishas or, beings like that that are tasked with helping you along your journey from eons of time till now and into the future. And yeah, each time you drop the flesh, you go into a process of processing the life you had. What you did right, what you did wrong, who you did right to, who you did wrong to. And that process kind of sets you up for your soul to go into the next life. Long and short, I'm oversimplifying it. But based on what you've done in this life determines the next life that you're going to have. And that's how karma comes into play. So if me and you get in a big argument or a big fight and we never get to resolve it, I'm going to carry that in my soul bodily form into the spiritual realms. And when I'm processing my life with the help of the angels or whatever, the ancestors around me, it's almost like it's going to be prescribed that a situation arises in my next life where we're able to reconciliate. No matter if I forward again as a woman in this next time or you as a man or a woman, somehow our souls are going to interact because you will be going through the same process in your afterlife. And there are these celestial beings in this hierarchy that is working under the guidance of an even larger being, which is the Christ. And the Christ is at the service of an even larger being, since we think in terms of space and size, which we could call God. And that's kind of the hierarchy. So there are these beings that specifically deal with karma, that all they are concerned with is putting people and different beings in the right situation, making sure situations are happening, and they're dealing with millions of people at the same time. And it's just is an amazing thing. It's kind of overwhelming to think about the whole, like how all of this work. But to me, as I said in the meaning of life, it's like, if we all leave all of this up to randomness and no kind of system, to me is unfair, unjust, and it just plain don't make any sense. If the only time I get to experience life is to forward as an unborn child, and that's it. You don't ever get to experience the physical world. Or a child were born right after childbirth, or, you're born with some disability. You have to think about, why God chose for this being of this disability. One, it has to do with that soul. It has to do with the parents of that soul, the brothers, the sisters. Everybody who's going to interact with that soul has contributed or is a recipient or a factor in the karma of that soul, or in the karma of the situation then, having some kind of chronic disease or deformity or mental situation, whatever issues we deal with. These are all situations in which we can learn and have experience, because that's ultimately what life is about.
Why did you, or how did you get to the point where you wanted to delve into the thing people avoid the most, the conversation about the afterlife fire. Like no one wants to
Yeah,
talk about death. No one wants to talk about after death. I know my Christian brothers and sisters default to what they hear in the Bible,
of
but they don't
course.
even think and talk about that. They just
Yeah.
let it there. But when did you cross that line to say I'm really gonna think, have the courage to think about what
Yeah.
happens in the afterlife?
Yeah, but even as I say in the third verse, Christ said John the Baptist was Elijah. That's an example of reincarnation. Multiple times in the Bible or in the New Testament, Christ said, "Ye are gods. You shall do even greater works than me." So there's different things within it where we can still get to the root, or you can say examples of these things manifesting. But I just feel like, especially as Rasta, there is this thing, burn death. We don't deal with death. And that's something I used to say regular. Burn death, we not go funeral. We not, is there's an essence, behind it still, because ultimately we're about life, and um man hides up the fact that we have life and that life is good. But death is pretty much a part of it. And it's the balance. Everything has a balance. Everything has an opposite that balances it out. Death is real. There's really no death, actually. Because once you start to deal with death in itself, it's coming from negation. It's coming from feeling like there's nothing else after that. And because most people don't have any insight into knowledge gained around the afterlife, they just choose to omit it. I think the Bible doesn't deal with the afterlife much because the people who put the Bible together, Nicene Council, all of these gatherings, they were about getting as many people into the religion as possible. And one of the key joint points is that you accepting Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior will save you from damnation in the afterlife.
So I ain't gotta worry about that.
Exactly. So we don't need to get into what's happening there. We're just focusing on what is going to get you to accept this religion. And there's nothing wrong with that. The thing is, like, religion is one of those things that have, over time, my view has matured about it. When we're young, we are born everything. Born God, Jesus, Bible, everything I get born. Everything. We start from scratch. And we build up back from there. So, you understand? But now we realize religion, it have its place within human evolution just because of the nature of human beings. And human beings are an evolving species. And religion is a way to identify with a one outside of your family, and outside of your race or your nation. And some might say that's not a good thing. It can be used against you. It can be used to subjugate races and nations. But ultimately, if I can look upon another human being and say, say, we are brother and sister, even though, we're not physically, bloodline related, but we're related through some common idea. Religion is one of those common ideas. It's the same way I am united with Barcelona fans or Arsenal fans because we have a common idea. And all of these things, every idea has a place within the spiritual realms. There's different levels to the spiritual dimensions. There's different dimensions. And there's a dimension where ideas live. And the more people that feed into the ideas is the richer that I don't want to say space because it's not a spatial reality. But the richer that idea is and the more that idea feeds into itself is the more people that become a part of it. And it has more of an influence on human beings. So there is the religious idea, there is the Christian idea, there's the Islam idea, and it's trying to feed itself. It's like a spiritual entity trying to feed itself. Whether or not that is good or bad, it's all relative. You know, but these religions were started based on cultural expressions. You know, the location, the environment, and how are we going to formulate stories and epics and scriptures to appeal to these set of people? You know, it's when it reaches a point now where you're starting to impose religions on people who are not of that culture, not of that place, and then you're trying to give them a narrative that fits a certain place without, and then telling them to literally believe that word for word, as opposed to promoting the essence of it and the truth of it. You know, and it's like, that's where it gets tricky.
I want to ask you one question because I know time, right? I read a book, God is Red. I forgot the guy's name. It was
God is what?
God is Red. It's
Okay.
an indigenous brethren, right? And it's actually probably one of my favorite books of all time because he exposed me to this idea that religious experiences can't travel. So, for instance, whatever experience you had in revelation you had in this space is tied to this space. That's why you can't impose it on someone else because they can't. Whatever you felt in this time and space and location,
Yeah.
it can't be replicated in another area. And I think because we know the circulation of the main religion is basically through violence at the end of the day.
Yeah,
You know,
of
it's not
course.
a experience. And I think that's why a lot of these religions don't capture people from other cultures because that was their experience and then at that place at
True.
that time.
100%. That's 100% right. That's how they're formed, because just like how you have a spiritual entity for every idea, you have a spiritual being for every location, and it's really just an assembly or an amalgamation of all the thoughts and feelings within that place. You know, and that's really what these are, and it takes on a life of its own. So no matter where you're from, if you go Jamaica and you live there for 10, 15, 20 years, you're going to start acting like a Jamaican.
Facts.
Because the spirit of Jamaica are going to take you up. The energy of the place are going to take you up. And it's the same. That's why there are different energy vortexes around the earth based on certain geometrical lines and certain things. And every space have its own energy. And then the people there contribute to the energy. And the energy contribute to the people. So you take on, there's a word they call them egregores, or like elemental beings, and people kind of take on the identity and the nature of the spirit of the place where they are.
As you matured and grow spiritually, all right. As you mature and grow spiritually, do you find yourself having a deeper understanding of the teachings of Emperor Haile Selassie?
100%. 100%. Like, so observing the king, you know, after having read certain things, it make you realize, say, yeah, man, His Majesty did up on the highest level. It's like, there's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. And it's funny because even when they interviewed His Majesty and asked him about how the Rastas see him as God, you know what his answer to that question was? His answer was, people should not confuse man with deity. And that's one of the most powerful answers I've ever heard, you know. And then there's so many levels to that. The simple level is, you know, Haile Selassie is not God. Like, God is the concept that we have of God. His Majesty is in a different category, right? That's one level. Also, the same thing applies to Jesus. Christ is the deity. Christ is the Logos. Christ is the cosmic being, literally from the sun. Christ is the savior for the entire planet in terms of a cosmic being that is intimately involved with the evolution of all human beings, regardless of religion. This is a literal being, not just a fairy tale or a man who was born as God. No. Jesus now, or Yeshua, this is a human being that through previous incarnations prepared himself to be the vessel of Christ, the being, Christ, the deity, Christ, the spirit. So people should not confuse the man, Yeshua, with Christ. When we're talking about the whole shift that's happening over the last 2,000 years, we're talking about the influence of the being Christ. But Yeshua was the vessel. In a similar way, I view Haile Selassie as not necessarily the vessel of a deity, but to me, he's an example of the highest aspiration of human evolution on the planet. And yeah, we've heard different reports of gurus who have seen His Majesty and actually saw his aura and his spirit and knew that he was a great soul or a Mahatma.
I was going to bring that up because we interviewed Chester Higgins, world-renowned photographer, and he told me that he's has photos of everyone fighting. When I say everyone, I mean everyone. And he said the person with the strongest aura he's ever met is Selassie. There's another brother we did, Daryl Davis, who brought it up too. And he's been around JFK and other people.
Yeah, man.
And I think as time reveals, more stuff gets exposed. And another thing I want to touch on, which I find very unique that people don't really look at, is the impact. Put all the criticisms to the side, right? The impact of Rastafari on the world in a short time frame.
100%.
We're not looking at 30 years yet.
Huge.
I mean, sorry, not
yeah,
30 years. We're
not looking at
100
years.
We're not looking at 100 years yet. And the
Huge,
impact, and
brother.
I think that people don't understand how long. First of all, the fact that something can be sustained for that time frame, and also how long it takes for things to develop to grow even bigger.
True.
Right, and I think that's one of the biggest. I'm kind of like an anthropologist on the low, you know.
Yeah.
And I really studying the movement. It's actually pretty wild to see like the impact it's had on the world in such a short
space of time,
and not just culturally but spiritually, also health wise. Even with eating and the whole.
I thought the whole
liberty,
vegan movement, all of these things.
And it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild when you think about it. You know.
Yeah, man, and it all's inspired by this great man, you know, and to me, he also symbolizes an end of an era, the monarchic era, monarchic governments, divine kingships. I feel like him kind of seal off that era, and that was a very long era in our human history, you know, and yeah, we're definitely in that time now of governments, and then that will be for a phase, and then we'll find another way to kind of govern ourselves. But yeah, man, His Majesty is a blueprint, man.
And the second part of the question was, many times people speak about Freemasonry, right?
Mm-hmm.
But people really speak about Rosicrucians.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe Haile Selassie was a Freemason or a Rosicrucian?
So after I started reading a Rosicrucian named Max Heindel, is after I read his books I realized that His Majesty was literally an initiate. You always kind of know, as Rasta, yeah, His Majesty are the highest of everything. You know that he has all of these titles and things. You know that he was born with this high level of wisdom and knowledge. But when it comes to the literal side of it now, when you hear His Majesty make certain speeches and the way he put him words together, that's definitely how initiates, you know, Masonic, Rosicrucian, that's how they speak. There's certain way how them use them words and them speak from a global perspective at all times. It's always global, you know, and it's always coming from a world view. Yeah, man, definitely, 100%.
So you experience new levels of accomplishment, right? And as a sportsman, he can relate. How do you maintain your level of output? I mean, how do you maintain the level of input that puts you in this position to maintain your level of output? Because many times when certain accomplishments come, the level of input declines.
Yeah. Sometimes the output decline too. It's tricky because when you raise the bar for yourself, there's a pressure to match it. And there's a fear of falling short of that within yourself, within your peers, within the public eye. You know, so there's a pressure to kind of make sure that whatever you have forward next is I gonna maintain the level or step it up even more. So there's a little pressure there, but in terms of putting in the work to do that, as long as you're motivated, as long as you still have other goals in sight, you know, like me, I have a whole heap of other goals, different from, I love to win more Grammys, obviously, but it's not the end all be all. It's not the one thing that you say and and it's not like I trying to be the greatest artist ever or anything. That's not my path. You know what I mean? Like I'm a electrical engineer type mind who chose to do music. You know what I mean? And I love everything I get out of music and I appreciate everything I get because, sometimes I feel like I kind of forged this path as opposed to just being born to do it. Just our natural talent. It's like work. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so I have a whole heap of goals in sight, and as long as the motivation is there, for me, the motivation to improve is always a key thing. I always want my voice to improve, my lyrics, my writing, my melodies, my equipment, my recording, everything, my production, my beats, musicianship. So you have to put in work to do that. So that motivation is always there. And yeah, the output might be less. I've been doing a lot of collabs since the album, but kind of just working on my own stuff in my own time. There's less pressure. You kind of get a little hurdle off, so there's less pressure to just keep, multiple. But as I said, different strategies for different artists. And there might be a time where I drop a song every month. Who knows?
Artists will tell stories how their lyrics encourage someone to get through hard times or change their life around, right? Yet, the same artists will say their negative lyrics don't impact negative behavior. They're just artists, and there are other forces impacting people's behaviors more than their words. Do you believe artists have a responsibility to what words they put into the universe?
Definitely do. It's karma. Anything you put out is out in the universe. The universe is taking note of everything that you do, every thought, every feeling, not just words or actions, every thought, every feeling. Also, people's thoughts about you can affect you. Unless you have a very secure soul organization to repel certain things, people can psychically attack you as well. So it's not just, some abstract thing about something happening to you later on. Like things you do now affecting him, spiritually as well. And whatever manifests in the spirit, that's where it manifests first before it manifests physically. So 100%. But we've seen where music can cause uprisings in countries. Music can turn societies that were non-violent, violent. Like we've seen it with our music too. You know what I mean? And this is a reality. So we do have the responsibility. Whether or not people take on the responsibility, it is there. And karma go knock.
It seems like a lot of artists have selective responsibility in a sense, like they don't.
For sure.
Because it's shocking to me. If you saying the craziest thing, and people listen to this, a lot of people, and you don't believe that your words are encouraging certain thoughts or behaviors.
It's madness, brother. Sizzler music is what I was listening when I sight up Rastafari and Natty Up my head and everything. I was listening to Sizzler exclusively for 3 weeks. Exclusively. So when I say Sizzler, I'm an artist, it's not no joke thing. You know, his music had that influence. His music reprogrammed me. So you can imagine what's happening with, you have some people idolize artists, you know. I was never the man to have people posters up in my room and just, but the songs them, it had that impact. You can imagine people idolizing artists and just listen to them all day, especially the man who put out the depressing music. Come on, man, that is a thing, the cycle will feed into itself, the chicken or the egg situation. The environment feed the music feed the environment. You know, it's just one of them things there. Whether or not an artist accept it.
Serious thing. Well, Kabaka, we appreciate the reason. We appreciate the time and wish you the best for everything moving forward, all right?
Enough respect.
Cool.